My name's Dylan Shearsby. I'm a storyboard artist, children's author, illustrator, and I teach painting and figure drawing. This video is for the students of my weekly online figure drawing class, which, if you would like to join us, can be found on meetup.com under Figure Drawing with a Storyboard Artist. We meet on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time and usually do an hour of figure drawing, anatomy study, all the foundational drawing stuff to build and maintain your skills as an artist. In this video, I'm going to talk you through my process as I do my own charcoal version of this seated nude figure originally drawn by Anton Raphael Mengs. And this is part of a series of videos that I'll make over time called Drawing with the Old Masters. This is where we can study the way old masters drew or painted figures and apply it to our modern charcoal figure drawings. Pause the video here and take a screenshot of this reference so that you can have that handy as we work through the drawing. So in this session, we are going to be copying this nude study by Anton Raphael Mengs, and he drew this in 1755. I think it's just a nice, well-balanced pose. It's got some good shapes, a good silhouette, and slightly simplified for our sake by the fact that the model's turned away from us, so we don't have to worry too much about the face or anything, details on that. There's decent sense of lighting as well. Obviously, this is beautifully rendered, but we're going to be trying to translate this detailed, fairly complex figure into something a bit more simple and quick that we can bang out in charcoal. I'm going to be using willow charcoal, thin sticks, maybe a bit of my darker charcoal pencil, and my trusty Holbein kneadable eraser, which is black with charcoal, as you can see. So I'm going to take my time with this. I'm not going to go too fast because this will be the entire session just drawing this. Initially, I'm going to pick up a piece of willow charcoal like this and do my my sketching with this. So I'm going to move away from the drawing board a bit so that I can draw with my entire arm. And I'm keeping this landscape orientation, even though this is a portrait sort of oriented drawing, just because it's easier for framing with the camera. So, as always, want to capture the gesture. So, you know, this curve in his spine up here is what I'm hoping to capture in this initial line. I do also want to get my bearings and just note that his hips are below the halfway point in the drawing. So if I roughly put in a bit of a guideline there for the hips, it gives me a starting point. Okay, that might be all I need for a bit of a gesture. And I want to get the curve on his shoulders up here. And this one's interesting because he's facing away from us, but his hips are then profile to us, so he's got a real twist going on, and I'm going to try to exaggerate that a bit. At this stage, I'm sort of just doing construction. I want to capture the expression of this pose before I get lost in any detail, so I'm focusing on the torso as a mass, a three-dimensional mass to work with. And just getting my bearings for the hips here, and I'm just going to whack in a sense of the thigh here. So just measuring down from his shoulder to the thigh to get my bearings there, and using a sphere there to get my bearings for where the knee is, and I'll just whack in a bit of a gesture line here for the calf. And same with his foreground arm up here, using curved lines as we always do. And now I can connect that with this rear leg up here. So just with a few lines trying to get my bearings here. Now measuring from his hips up to his neck, if I go from the middle of the hips here vertically, this should be the left side of his neck. So I'm just going to pop that in. Okay, so that's not too bad. I feel like I'm getting some control over the figure here. And now I feel like getting this arm working is going to be important. So just giving myself a starting point with the shoulder here. And finding where the elbow should come to here. Notice I'm not holding the charcoal like I would write with a pen. I'm keeping my hands away from the tip, forcing myself to draw with my entire arm, and to just let my lines be a bit loose and messy. Okay. I think that's given me a sense of where I'm going now. I don't think I've gotten the angle quite right here. The forearm should be a little more horizontal than that, so I might actually fix that up slightly. And I feel like there should be a bit more bulk to his arm up here. Something like that. Don't want to miss this forearm muscle here. And just initially, I'll just block in a little simple shape to represent the hand. Not worrying about the fingers or anything yet. All right, so having done that arm, I feel like that arm's kind of a feature point there that I can then work my way out of here. And this is also where tonally there's probably the greatest focal point in that armpit there. That's our sort of darkest spot. So put in a bit of darkness there to mark that. And just working my way down here. Trying to get the shapes of the torso working here. Okay. Now, one thing I don't want to miss here, and I might give myself some space for it, just by clearing that up a bit, is you don't want to miss his trap muscles up here. And so we've got a decent angle coming down here. Obviously, because we're doing the whole session on this, I'm letting myself be quite a lot more fiddly with this than I would if we were actually doing a 10-minute pose or something like that. I'm taking my time here. I want to enjoy this and, learn some anatomy as I go. Okay. Now, I feel like I need to get the connection working between the hips here and his quads the way his leg connects to his torso. I want that functioning and looking like they belong together. So spend a bit of time on this. Let myself be a bit expressive here with my lines, otherwise everything is going to get too rigid. Okay. I think that's connecting not too badly now. I need to raise up this rear leg, of course, here. Okay. I'm going to extend that knee out a bit. All right. And I might block in this foreground calf area a bit. I don't want to go too nuts with it because I might want to move things around later, but I've got this nice gesture line to follow here to give me a good flow and curve in this in his calf and shin area. So I want to follow that. Something like that. Could probably come a bit thinner here down at the ankle. And measuring, I can see that his heel should line up with about here. Just blocking a rough foot shape there. I can sort of tweak it later if I want to. In fact, that's fine. I could get away with that, but I actually feel like I've drawn his calf too long, and I would like to bring it up a bit to sort of here. I've lost which piece of charcoal I was using. These all look different. This will do. Okay. Yeah, feel a bit better about that. I'm actually torn. I'm going to get stuck on this, I can tell. I might extend that foot a little further down. Something in between the first two. And if it seems like I'm fiddling here, I am. That's fair enough. But this is one proportion, the whole shape of this foreground leg, that I think if you get wrong in this, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So I'd rather just fiddle a bit here at this stage. We've got the time, and get the positioning of his calf right. Yeah, I think that's working better in between my first two passes. Okay, so that's going okay. Now, this rear calf, which I'm going to extend out the knee a bit more again so that I can get the shin at least in front of this foreground leg. Okay. And then sketch in a rough guide for the foot. Okay. I think this is working okay. Like proportion-wise. It's certainly not singing yet, but that's all right. We'll get there. Yeah, pose-wise and everything, I'm reasonably happy with this. I might block in something for the head up here. I might run out of room, but it doesn't matter because he's facing away from us. So not a big deal. Just going to roughly put in some lines up here. just to complete the body. Okay. So one thing I might do is quickly stand up, just look at this with fresh eyes from a bit of a distance and just play with some of my outlines here. Might make his shoulder a little bigger. I'm just looking for points that I think could be improved. His back definitely does need to be extended out a bit on this side. Okay, great. I think this is working all right. Now, I'm going to lightly block in this background arm. Just trying not to get bogged down into details here, just wanting to get something down there. I think that's working okay. And because this is a seated model, I think it is worth capturing some of the furniture and fabric because it's very much part of this pose. I'm not going to get into detail and start worrying about every fold in the fabric. I just want to look at it as more like a silhouette and try to capture the vague shape of what's going on here. So fairly big, bold strokes. Okay. That's probably enough. I don't really care to get lost in what's going on behind the model here, but I just wanted some sense of what he's sitting on. All right, at this point, what I might do, because we're spending a bit longer on this, is I might actually, before getting into shading, I might sort of lift off some areas where I know I'm not going to want there to be dark lines, like in the upper back here and in his shoulder, because we've got the light hitting that there. And some of these construction lines in his hips here I might take out. Not too much, not trying to be nitpicky here, just creating some areas of light for myself. All right, that's probably enough of that. Now, I want to get into some shading. I need a new little piece of willow charcoal for that. So I'm just going to break a piece off. And yeah, I'm going to start working out from this focal point that I was talking about before under the armpit here. So that gives us a starting point tonally. And put in some of the darkness in his hair up here. That also gives us a sort of something to refer to tonally. And as you can see, I'm sort of using the side of the willow. I'm also using the an edge of it for the darkest darks that I want, and then I'm using my finger to push the charcoal around. And I'm going to use the eraser to lift up some of this. That's a bit better. It's a bit fiddly in here. I don't want to get lost in detail, but at the same time, there's a lot going on with the detail in his abdominal area here. I definitely just want to capture the sense of shadow in that area. And we've got the fabric going over his thigh back here. I'm just going to try to simplify that to something like that. Yeah, I think that's working okay. I want to capture his tricep muscle here. Yeah, I think that helps, putting in a bit of a dark line there. All right, and a bit of shadow. Just throw his, the sense of his face over here just totally into shadow. Yeah, something like that. Try get some of this sense of shadow to define his tricep muscle here. And just getting into his forearm here. Now, what I've just done on the forearm there is not exactly how it appears in the reference, but I kind of like it. It's just for one quick, simple stroke, it seems to be suggesting the elbow and forearm muscle there. So if something works like that, I'm inclined to just keep it. Leave it simple. Remember, I'm not trying to copy the style of execution in this drawing here, because that would take hours and days and days. I'm trying to bang something out in, 40 minutes or something here. I'm too impatient to spend a long time on artworks. It's just not in my DNA to want to do that. It's part of also just being a storyboard artist. You've got to do everything really quickly. So I like working quickly. My first serious art teacher was Andre Solier, the Sumi master. And obviously in Sumi you work pretty quickly. And then my next teacher was Andrew Gemmell, an English style watercolor painter. And when we used to paint together, he would do 2 or 3 paintings in one session. They were small, but I mean, he would really hammer them out. So speed is just how I relate to art. So just working up the spine here and trying to capture the sense of shadow in the indentation of his spine there. All right, and capture the sense of shadow around here on this side of his back. It's a bit tricky here because we sort of got to capture that contour of all his muscles. I can't lose sight of that. This is looking a little weird anatomically. It looks fine sort of artistically, but it's looking just a little weird anatomically, so I've got to get that a bit better. And now you can see that's looking muddy. I've put too much shadow up here. So this is where, with rendering, You've got to be sensitive to when something starts looking messy or muddy. And there we go. You can see as I sort of lift that, it's like it's sort of okay again now. Yeah, it's not too bad now. Okay, pressing on. I don't want to do much on this back arm at this stage. I just want to, sell the fact that it's in shadow mostly. So, a couple of foundational marks for me to then push around with my finger. I like the idea of just losing it like this in sort of misty shadow. And just do something crazy like that. I kind of like that. Start giving a sense of movement to the pose. Yep. No, I've gone too far. That's what always happens. Actually, no, that's okay. This is what it's always like. I've ruined it, and then, no, that looks all right. Oh, that came up good, unexpected. That's my favorite way to draw and paint, is to just try things and make mistakes and then keep the mistakes that look good. All right. Got a nice little shadow here on the fabric. What that does is it allows us to create a silhouette here. I have to get my face in here to get this just right, to suggest his butt, frankly. Okay. Okay. It's a little bit tricky, this area. I'm not quite nailing it. I think, yeah, that's it. I had to sort of define it with the eraser, like I was painting in white. And I think I also need a little sense of this curve in here, because it sort of jumps out quite quickly. That's it. That's sort of given me the bearings that I need there. Sorry if I'm blocking the camera here, but I had to lean over to see what I'm doing. Okay. Like I said, I don't want to get into all this fabric stuff down here. I just want to simplify it and make my own shapes. As you can see, we've jumped forward a bit here, and I apologize for that. What happened was when I got up and checked the camera, I found that it had switched itself off after half an hour. Not the greatest feature on a camera that takes video, to just turn off without warning, but yeah, so sorry about that. We lost some of the, later rendering that I did down here, but for what it's worth, it was just more of the same. It was me just working my way around with the willow charcoal, making marks, seeing what worked, what didn't work, and going down through this part here and trying to figure out which parts to leave defined and which parts to smudge out with my fingers, because I'm going for a much more stylized, loose charcoal drawing here than the reference. The one thing that we did miss with that video cutting off was that I added some dark lines here with the dark charcoal pencil. Some of this stuff here to define this calf area, and yeah, just various points where I decided to put in a bit of extra darkness. I'm going to keep doing that a little bit here. I'm not going to spend too much longer on this, but I figure since we lost some footage there, I wouldn't mind just mucking around with it a bit more and yeah, seeing what I can come up with. I might extend the darkness in front of the calf down here with the darker charcoal pencil. Also, I sort of realized after checking the footage that, yeah, I've been putting my head in front of the camera a bit. Sorry about that. Not really used to filming myself drawing like this, but I'm learning as I go, so I'm sure the next one will be a bit better. Darken that area up a bit. Okay. And one thing you were spared was my constant mucking around with this foreground foot, trying to decide whether to draw it or whether to leave it and sort of just suggest it. I've ended up going with just suggesting it, but it's still bugging me a little, so I'm going to keep mucking around with it. Yeah, I really don't want to get lost in detail there. All right, so a few lines that I wanted to get rid of, tidy up a bit. So just lifting those with the eraser. Now, the question is, do I want to define this area here a little bit? Maybe just a touch. Not sure about that. Yeah, actually, that was one of those moments that just kind of works out from mucking around with it. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. And I don't want to get lost in detail there. One thing I might want to do is just sort of exaggerate this shadow a bit more, just under here. Yeah, that's helped that sing a bit better. I'm happier with that. Add his nipple there just for a bit of anatomical accuracy. All right, and we've got some folds in the stomach here. Oh, and I forgot to say, yeah, because we missed some video there, feel free to pause and catch up if you want to, or you can just watch this and then have a go at finishing yours afterwards. All right. This looks like it's kind of losing the sense of where the stomach is here and where the fabric is, so I'm just going to try to define that a bit better. Something like that. Now I can say that this is the lower abdominal area and that that's the fabric there. So you can see how we're using our charcoal pencil here, the dark charcoal pencil for our darkest darks. Okay. Sort of happy with how that's working. The risk of totally screwing this up, I'm just going to muck around with the tricep shadow here a bit. I'm doing little hatching with these, just so you're aware. I'm not just scribbling. I'm doing fairly controlled, actually, hatching, which is just parallel lines. With hatching, you do want to actually try to keep that quite neat. It doesn't look good if you do it carelessly. Okay, I'm kind of happy with that. I think I just want to lift some of this up here to define this muscle a bit better. Yeah. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. This line here is not really required. It's too dark on a sort of highlight side, so I can just lose that. And yeah, we're getting into the sort of final nitty-gritty stuff here. I could just keep mucking around with this all day. There is a point at which I would not be helping it anymore though, so you've got to be careful with that. A little bit of a highlight, sorry I'm blocking the camera here, but just a little bit of a highlight on the lower side of the wrist there. And I might slightly define the edge of the hand here. I just want to get some of this nice anatomy, the edge of the knuckle there. Just a bit of that stuff. And what else? What else do we need to do here? It's looking a little bit messy. I'm trying not to block the camera here, but this is a bit difficult. I need to get it sort of close to this. Tidy up that area slightly. Although I've now kind of lost the elbow there, which I don't want to do. So let's just put that back in. There we go. Got that defined a bit better again. Now, what's going on with the back up here? We've got sort of that typical sort of old master lumpy muscular thing going on here, but I'm losing it a little bit, so let's just define that slightly better. There we go. And erase out some of this, since it's a nice highlight. One area that it looks like I could improve was is this sort of shadow area in the lower back. So I'm just going to get my willow again and carefully try to capture the curve of the musculature there. Not really capturing the curve how I want it, so what I'm going to do is put that curve in how I want it. Blur it out a bit with my finger. Okay, and then erase out what I need to here to you know, stop it looking muddy and messy. That's working a bit better. Could still be better. Oops, lost my little lampshade here. Okay. This is almost doing what I want it to do, so I don't want to fiddle this to death, but I do feel like this whole area, the shadow of this whole area could be unified a bit better. There, actually, that's kind of done what I want. Yeah. Okay. Got to be careful at this point not to overwork this, but I'm having fun, so. All right. Nice dark occlusion shadow in here. I'm going to enhance that by using my dark charcoal. Just beware, this dark charcoal is does not smudge with your fingers in anything like the same way that the willow does. So you've got to be a bit more controlled with what you do with this. And I'll just try to tidy up this edge a bit. And try to tidy up his ankle area here a little. Looks like I've got sort of too much light hitting this though, so maybe I need to just add a bit of shadow in here. Yeah, that's a bit better. All right. Okay, now this heel here is looking a little weird. It's looking like it's completely square or something, so I'm going to just lift that out a bit. Now that's looking a bit better. And I don't know, I'm thinking of calling it quits soon for what we're set out to do here. I think this has been fun. And yeah, I think it's working okay. I'm going to put a bit of darkness under here. Something like that. And let's just see if it benefits at all to put a little bit of extra darkness and detail in his hair. There is actually a side of an ear here in the reference, but I don't know that I'm going to worry about that. I mean, I'll put something in there and see how it looks. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Who cares? You can't really tell whether it's an ear or if it's more hair. Alrighty. I reckon though that that's about it for this one. I might try to just increase the core shadow on the bottom of the hamstring here so that we get a slightly stronger sense of reflected light on the very bottom. And I'm not really sure if that's actually worked or not. It's not bad though. I think it's okay. And I'll just lift out a bit of this highlight area in here. Okay, and a little bit of curve into this highlight area there. And one thing I've just spotted is that I might want to add just a bit more sense of shadow into this area. All right. All right, I think I'm going to stop there in terms of recording this video. Anything I do after this is only going to be very minor kind of tweaks. If I spot something later, usually I'll let a piece like this just sit for a bit. And, you know, if something starts bugging me, I might play with it. You don't want to do that too much though. Sometimes it can also help when you draw something like this to take a photo of it on your phone and look at it on your phone. Weirdly, when you do that, it can look just quite different. And you can see things that you wouldn't normally, that you wouldn't see when you were actually looking at the piece itself. So I'll probably do that as well. And any other adjustments I make at this point will be hopefully pretty minor. So I hope you enjoyed drawing along with me on this one. Doing a study after Anton Raphael Mengs of this very nicely posed male figure. Thanks for joining in on this little session. I hope it was fun and useful, and I hope to see you next time. If you'd like to check out our weekly online figure drawing class, we're on meetup.com under Figure Drawing with a Storyboard Artist.